Hello, I'm Sketchy Duval, and today I'm here to be creative, to make something, to make some art, and to make some cool fashion. So here's a shirt that I painted recently, and I think it's really cool, so be ready to see what you're about to see. Okay, 3, 2, 1. This is a pink and white striped button-up shirt. You can see the stripes are very thin. And I bought this secondhand. It was like 400 yen or something. I had this idea last year. I was riding the train and there was like a junior high school boy on the train as well. And in Japan, junior high school students typically wear uniforms. And for boys, it's usually like a white button-up with black pants. Maybe he was high school, I don't know, whatever. So he was wearing the white button-up shirt, but he had like a blood stain on it, as if he had a nosebleed or something. And I was like, that is so cool. I want to make a shirt that has a blood stain on it. I originally thought I was going to use a white shirt, like similar to what he was wearing. But recently I started this new collection of clothing where I really want to make pink stuff. And I've always loved soft pink and bright red as a color combination. I mean, hello, this gloomy bear. I just had the idea of course, the blood splatter on the pink shirt, but what if my sketchy face was emerging from the blood splatter? So that's what I did. I used red acrylic paint mixed with fabric medium for the sketchy eyes, and then I got some red spray paint and I just blasted the shirt like where I wanted the blood splatter to be. And I wanted it to look like it was coming from my heart, like as if my chest had been pierced with like a spear or something. So this is the look I achieved. I like that the eyes are still like distinguishable from the background, you know? I didn't want it to just look like a blob, you know? So I like that the eyes are defined enough from the blood splatter. Today, we are not dealing with the front of the shirt, so keep her in your thoughts and prayers. On the back of the shirt, this is what we're dealing with. I had the idea to write a diary entry on the back of this shirt. So I wrote up here October 15th, because that's the date that I wrote it. I started it just like how I start all my diary entries, and then I just wrote what I wanted to get out. I'm not gonna read all of it because it's personal, but the thesis statement, or the conclusion statement, whatever, is the cavalry is not coming. Yeah, the cavalry is not coming. And I just wrote it over and over on the bottom half. I don't know if I need to explain exactly what it means to me, but basically you need to do things for yourself and not wait for someone else to give you permission or access. You need to just grant that for yourself. That's basically what I was dealing with. So that's what I wrote about on here. I don't know, I kind of feel strange about just having my straight up diary entry on the back of a shirt. I don't want this to be like the feature of the back of the shirt, you know? I want this to be a part of it, but I want something else breaking through. So I thought, what if I just make claw marks on the back of this shirt? As if like Freddy Krueger came out and slashed my back and I escaped the dream, but not without a scar, you know? So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm here in my atelier setup. I have my makeshift plastic tarp laid down. This is literally several trash bags cut apart and then taped together to make a tarp. And I have my shirt on top, and inside is a piece of like poster board. And I use that to make sure that when I paint, nothing transfers onto the other side of the shirt. I have my paint in here, my sewing stuff here. Here we have a red t-shirt. just plain red. I bought it today, secondhand of course, to make the slashes on the back of this shirt. Recently, I did another shirt with this kind of technique and I'm inspired. So I did this shirt. So as you can see, it's a flannel shirt. I took a white t-shirt and painted this picture of Jesus on it, and then I sewed it beneath the plaid shirt, cut the plaid shirt, and then ripped it to reveal the face of Jesus between my sketchy Duval face on either side. So that's the technique I'm going to use for this shirt to make the slash marks. I think I want 5 slashes so it will look like a hand slashed across the shirt. Or should it be more like that? 1, 2, 3, and then 2 smaller ones. Or, because I want it to be like a big hand, like Okay, so I just spent some time planning it out on my iPad, and this is what I came up with. So I'm just going to take my red pen and copy this over onto the shirt. That pen wasn't really working, so I'm going to use this pink highlighter. So I'm just going to trace out like roughly what I want the design to look like. There's the first one. Next I'll go up here, so it's gonna come from below the R and down. Where is it? It ends about here. It goes roughly that way. The third one is up here. And I do want this one to come kind of onto the arm. So it starts up there. Okay, over here. And the last one. I can already tell I like how this looks, honestly. Sometimes you just have to get a step down and then you can see the vision. Even in an early stage, you can see it coming together and it's really exciting. The next step is to cut out strips of fabric that match these lines. I'm gonna measure. I'm gonna be scientific about it. My measuring tape is in here. Keep it with my paint stuff because usually when I'm painting something, I'm also measuring something. It's this cute little bear face, and the tape just comes out like that. So let's start with this long one. Okay, it's about 50 centimeters long. At its widest point, it's about 4 centimeters wide. Okay. I'm just going to repeat those steps for the rest of these. 6. 15. 3. measurements taken. I'm just going to cut along the shirt. Now I'm just going to cut these out individually. Okay, so here we have L2 and R2. Here is M1. Here is L1. Here is R1. So yeah, you got a rough idea of what it'll look like. You can kind of see it coming together. The next step is to put these inside the shirt and pin them into place of where I will eventually sew them in. Here I've got the shirt unbuttoned because I need to work from the inside and outside. I think I'll start with L2. It'll be easy. It should be easy to demonstrate. Actually, from the inside of the shirt, I can kind of see the outline. So I can place this a little more accurately. Start from the top. I will pin and then get the bottom in place where it needs to be. So that is over here, and pin that in. And with that roughly in place, then I can return to the outside and follow the shape of this and like pin it along the line. This process is really tedious. So I'm gonna finish it and then I will check back in once I'm done with that. Okay, I'm back with the shirt. So here's what the inside looks like with all of the red strips safety pinned on in place. And then this is the back side. Safety pins poking through. What's left to do for now is to get sewing. Now I imagine this is going to take me a while. I hand sew. I don't have a sewing machine, so this kind of stuff takes me a while. Yet I continue to give myself these projects. It's fun though, and I really enjoy the results, and I think I'm going to really love this shirt once I finish. It's just going to take a minute to get there, which is okay. Great things take time. I keep my sewing stuff in here in a cookie tin. I have my needles here, and today I'm going to be using this red thread. So I don't need anything else from here. I'm just going to choose my needle. You can see there are many different sizes. I'll use like a medium one. I have no formal training when it comes to sewing. I just kind of do it. I just kind of taught myself how to sew. One time I did make a teddy bear with my grandma using her sewing machine, but my grandma did most of the work. I didn't really do anything, and I don't know how to use one, and I also don't have one. So here's my thread. I'm just gonna pull it out, and honestly, I just pull it out until it's about the length of my like wingspan here, and then I cut it, and then I do it again so that I have two long threads the length of my wingspan roughly. I take the two threads and I match two ends together so that I have like double thickness of thread as I'm sewing. Then with those two threads grouped together, I take my needle and I push the two threads through the eye of the needle. Well, I guess it's like quadruple length or quadruple thickness if you do it like that. And then I tie a knot in the thread. I tie it again and I just keep tying that knot until it's thick enough to make a stopper so that the thread doesn't pull all the way through the fabric, you know? Okay, so there, you can see the knot. Now I'm ready to start sewing. I'm going to start with the small one up here on the shoulder. This is going to be on my right shoulder. And I always start by going through the back, out the front. Like that. And then I'm just gonna continue through the fabric. There we go. You can see there's a little stitch there. I like to go back and then go through once again, just to really like double up like that. There, and then you can see it starts to make like a line as you go through. So then once again, I just go through, like retreating back, and then out a little further so that it continues making the line a little longer. And I'll just trace that along all of these lines that I made until I'm finished. So as you can tell, it's not a fast process, but like I said, I do enjoy it. Maybe one day I'll use a sewing machine, but that day is not today. I'm gonna put on a horror movie or something and just sew. Next time you see me and this shirt, all of the sewing will be finished. Okay, I'm back. It's a new day, as illustrated by my outfit change, but I'm done sewing all of the slash marks into the shirt, finally. So let me just show you what it looks like. So here you can see, I started with this one. So I sewed that, and then I moved to the other small one over here. You can see I started off with red thread, but then I started running out. So I mixed red and white, but then I just completely ran out of red. So I just started using this white, which you can see here. But then I ran out of that too. So by the end of it, I was using gray thread. But I don't think it will matter so much. You know, I'm gonna rip it up and paint it with red anyway. You're not really gonna see the thread that much. I don't think it matters. Anyway, what does matter now is finishing the shirt. So I'm going to put this board inside the shirt, and then we can get started. The next step is to cut and rip these slashes and see what it's really giving. Like that. And then I'm just gonna cut like that, and we'll go from there. here are all the slashes cut out. I imagine after I wash it, the edges will become more distressed too. So maybe I don't need to do too much right now. But what I do need to do next is go in and add some paint. And today I'm just going to use, I have this like neon pink paint and then my red paint from Daiso. And I'll use those with my fabric medium. And I'm just going to mix it in this little plastic palette. Let's start with the red. Right here. And then this neon pink. I don't know how much of an effect the neon pink has on the red and on the overall look, but I like to imagine it does something. And even though I do want it to look bloody, I still want it to look like glam. I really want to focus on making these sharp edges and small, like, branch off pieces more defined. So speaking of Freddy Krueger, he is one of my favorite horror icons. I've never been a huge fan of slashers, but Freddy is different. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street is really good. I've always been so bored by Jason, even as a kid. I would always hear people talk about Freddy versus Jason, and I was like, Jason is boring. I'm sorry, I've tried to watch Friday the 13th, and I think it is so boring. I just cannot get into it. And Jason as a killer is not interesting to me at all. Like, I'm really not into it. But I love Freddy Krueger, and I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I also like Pinhead from Hellraiser, or just the Hellraiser universe in general, like the Cenobites and stuff. It's so cool. Actually, when I was a kid, Pinhead scared me the most. Before I watched any of the movies, like, I would just go into like Spencer's with my dad sometimes, and I would see Pinhead shirts and whatever, and it always scared me so much. For some reason, the design of Pinhead really terrified me, but now I just think he's really cool. Horror is really all I watch anymore. When I was a kid, I was very scared of all things horror. Like, I remember even being so scared of like the Disney Channel horror movie episodes. Like, they would terrify me, even just the concept of like thinking about them. And I was like, why does this scare me so much? It was really bothering me that I would get so scared by these things. So I wanted to get over it, and so I forced myself to start watching horror movies. And I started with the Blair Witch Project, which is an insane choice to start with at like 12 years old, because that, I think, is one of the scariest movies of all time, especially for a 12-year-old, and like kind of thinking it was real. But that movie has become one of my favorites. After that, I got really into found footage and stuff like that. Like, I watched the Poughkeepsie tapes. I tried watching VHS, and I couldn't finish it for like years because I was so scared of it. So yeah, I've always been into found footage since I first started getting into horror. Now, I mostly just think it's cool. Like, yeah, I still get scared sometimes, but I mostly just think horror movies are really cool. I don't know. I find horror the most relatable, the most willing to push the boundaries. Yeah, I just think horror has a lot to offer, and I think it's so artistic as well. that's pretty good. Yeah, what's left to do now but try it on and see how it looks. Okay, I'm here wearing the shirt, as you can see, and be prepared. I think it looks so cool. Of course, here's the front, which we've seen, and I also added this little heart onto the side of the shirt down here on the bottom, because there was a logo, like the American Eagle logo was down here. I don't like logos, so I had to cover it. But anyway, let's reveal the back. Okay, so there's a little sneak peek in the mirror. 3, 2, 1. So, as you can see, the slashes turned out very good. I love it so much. Oh my god. Here's another look at the shirt from the front. And here's the little heart on the side as well. And of course, the back, the star of the show. I'm obsessed with this scar that goes onto the arm like that. I think that is so cool. Wow. I have to figure out how I will style it, but we'll figure it out because that's what I do. Once again, here's the front of the shirt. Front, back. And then back, front. Yeah, I'm so happy with this. Oh my god. Having this idea for like over a year and finally doing it and seeing that it actually, 1, worked out and 2, looks better than what I imagined. I'm just really happy with the shirt. I'm thinking of making t-shirts with this blood splatter design. I just have to see how well it holds up in the wash before I decide if I can sell them. But yeah, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching and for listening and coming with me on this wonderful journey. And yeah, thank you. Until next time, goodbye.